अरे रुके मत मारिए।
हेलो 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 हेलो
Please wait, the meeting will start shortly. Hello, good evening, everyone. Uh, Please welcome our keynote speaker, Mohd Arshan. He's a DO graduate in journalism and an Indian Institute of Mass Communication alumnus. He has more than 3 years of experience in areas of digital marketing, brand strategy, marketing communications, and even has worked for industries such as Alcobev, healthcare, education, hospitality. Being an active citizen, journalist, and a career counselor who has worked with North India's top and budding psychologists. Apart from this, having experience as an external examiner under Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, and currently working as social media manager with KAUR. He will help us today to understand the importance of media law and ethics as a subject. Whatever queries and questions you have, you can write it in the chat section. It will be answered after the session. Welcome, sir.
Hi, thank you, Shersi. Thank you so much. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and the fellow students. Hope you are safe and dealing well with this lockdown. This is the time where we have a choice to enhance or degrade our careers and knowledge addition, or to play games and sleep. I'm glad that all of you have made this on a Sunday evening. Thank you so much, Shersi, for your kind words. Firstly, I would like to thank Karun and team for reaching out to me and finding me a competent enough to address you all. I will try to give you a gist of the subject and make you understand with whatever little knowledge and experience I have in the field of media. I hope it will be beneficial for you all. Let us start without any much delay. Hope I am audible and I am visible to each and every one of you. Let us make use of this chat section where Shersi has replied, and whatever queries and questions you guys have, you can ask me here. So I have tried to pull off a very little presentation, as I'm from an advertising background and a citizen journalist, and we literally believe making presentations so that people can understand really well, and whatever we need to sell to the audience, we can do it with the help of text and with the help of graphics. So I will be presenting it. Let me know if it is visible to you all.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can every one of you go on mute, please? Yeah, thank you so much. So the first question here is, why media, law and ethics as a subject? So I have been told that you guys have options. If you are going into the second year, you have to choose from some of the subjects and whether you should go for media, law and ethics or not. And you should do this as an optional subject, or what should be the scenario in this case. And for example, you can easily understand by what it means. It means the media, about laws and ethics. Here, we will not be discussing about the law, because I guess with whatever little knowledge I have about law, and you guys are majority of you guys are the experts and better than me. And you guys will be the budding lawyers, and I am the media expert, which will be throwing light upon how media works and what media is. So this is one of the best questions which people ask me. And what if you don't understand media? And I ask people, what happens if you guys don't understand media? So yeah, every morning when the office starts, or these guys have a daily meeting, these guys have a monthly meeting, these guys have a weekly meeting. They set agenda for the day, for the week, or for the month, where a lot of people a lot of people participate where these are the head of the departments. What they do is they come up with a lot of data inside, or the data mining which these guys have. And what they do is they sit and brainstorm. They'll ask each and everyone, they'll brainstorm what should be the agenda for the week, what should be the agenda of the day. And so this is how media works. If Hindu-Muslim news is working, they'll throw light on that only, and they'll just focus on this. If BJP versus Congress is working, they'll throw light and focus on that only. If the labor laws, or if the laborers or the migrant workers are getting them much TRP or much readership, they'll focus on that. So this is how media works. And if you are a media viewer and you don't understand media, you might end up becoming a puppet of the media, and you might end up falling into their propagandas. So this slide is the most important slide, and where I am telling you about what this presentation is about. This is about how media works, freedom of speech versus freedom of press, ethics of media, and then I will leave you guys with a question in your minds. Is media united or is media divided? And these are the don'ts, which I do not have, which I have not included in this presentation. It is not about the ancient case studies. For example, I had a look at your syllabus and it was filled up with all the ancient case studies. Maybe it was because of the ancient syllabus which DU follows, because I am also a student of DU, and the syllabus never changes. And the ancient case studies I will not be talking about. Even if I will talk about some case studies from the past, those will be the case studies which will be of much importance. Might not be from the law perspective, but from the media perspective. And this will not be including anything or any debate about politics or the religious bias or embedded or the secular journalism which people say, like the Godi media or the Librandus or the secular media. I will not be including this in the presentation. So this is the most important slide where I differentiate between media and journalism. A lot of you think that media and journalism is equal, but it is not. Journalism is a subset of media, and media is a broader term in its nature. So I will be throwing light on the types of media which we have nowadays, and how media is everlasting and ever evolving. So the first which comes in is the print media. Anything and everything which you have printed on a piece of paper, on a piece of banner, on a flyer, or on a pamphlet, each and everything which is printed with the help of ink or have been carved on stones, it is kind of comes in the print media. Even the books which you read today, it is also a part of the print media. And then comes in the broadcast media. The broadcast media is majorly about three things. It is about radio and FM. It is about television, and it is about the movies which people have and which all of you guys see. And then comes the ever-evolving internet, which you and I are basically connected. A lot of you people and who might not be having televisions or who might not be listening to radios at their homes, because you guys must be living in PGs, or maybe you guys must be living in rooms separate and have come from separate or different states apart from Delhi to pursue this course in law. So you guys must be connected to all the internet and all the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the stuff which is you are giving them views and you are being a part of media. This is about a media theory which you will be understanding and which you will be reading about in your course if you will be pursuing this subject in your second year. And this is one of the major theories about how media works. Firstly, there is a media text or an incident which happens. You can take any incident, you can take the lockdown or the unlocking which is happening. You can talk about the coronavirus which is happening. So there will be a lot of media text around it, and which will lead to some of the opinion leaders which will talk about it. And nowadays, media text and opinion leaders act as the same person. For example, if there is a there's an opinion leader. For example, you can say about Nirmala Sitharaman. She is an opinion leader. She is a leader, a political leader. And whenever she breaks out or she comes up with some news, it becomes a media text. So these are interchangeable. It is not that opinion leaders will come in first or the media text will come in first. But usually what happens, a media text is influenced by the opinion leaders. A media text covers some kind of opinions which people have, so that media can tell it to all the people around the world. And after the media text, there comes the opinion leaders, and then there comes media consumers, which you and I are. So understand this sequencing, understand this chronology: a media text, opinion leaders, and the media consumers. So this slide might be the most embarrassing slide of the entire presentation, or the might be most embarrassing for all of us Indians. So here it is: what is freedom of speech versus what is freedom of press. And as you guys are experts of law, all of you understand it very well that freedom of speech is not absolute. However, freedom of press is also not very absolute. So here is the index or the world ranking. Out of 180 countries, we stand at 140th number. Sometimes we jump the number to and surpass it, or sometimes our ranking degrades. This is the freedom of press index, and number 1 being Norway, number 2 being Denmark. So this is some kind of very embarrassing situation for all of us, which tells us that media in India is controlled with some politicians, you can say, or with some kind of entrepreneurs or some kind of media professionals. This slide is about hate speech versus free speech. While making this presentation, while I was pulling this presentation off in last night, I came across this quote, which says, hate speech is not free speech. Every time hate speech is permitted, it costs someone a part of his or her life, or self, or their self-respect, or their sanity. It rips people to shreds and destroys the society. Hate speech is anything and everything but free. The next animation which I would be presenting it to you might be a bit disturbing in terms of Indian scenario, but it will give you a clear picture of what free speech means and how you guys can differentiate between free speech and hate speech. So this is, for example, if someone burns a flag in USA, it is not a crime. If someone wears a bikini of their flag, or someone wears an underwear of the flag, it is not a crime. And even if you burn it or you step on it, it is not a crime. However, if you are burning a flag of a particular community, which is LGBTQ community, this rainbow flag or this multicolored flag, and you are burning it, that means you do not support their ideology, you do not support that kind of people, and you do not support those particular community who are existing in your society. So this is a clear example of free speech versus hate speech. Then here here I will be talking about privacy. In India, people and generally laugh on and make a mockery of privacy. It is a big dilemma, and you will also read it in your syllabus, that what privacy means, and privacy is not absolute, and how people and how media should deal or ethically should deal with people who are publicly, or who are some kind of celebrities, or who are stars. I will, for example, this one. This is Hardik Pandya and Natasha. I don't know whether they got married, and I do not even hold the right to comment on this. But they shared a picture where Natasha was pregnant and Hardik Pandya was celebrating that he is going to be a father. Immediately after Hardik Pandya posted this picture, he started receiving backlash. And this is the current scenario, which all of you know. You take it from the perspective where I was quoting that media theory, that there is a media text. Consider this image as a media text. And obviously these guys are the opinion leaders, these guys are the influencers. And then there was a consumer journey which happened, and people started commenting that this is not according to the Indian culture, you guys are not married yet, you guys are living in a live-in relationship, and the society does not approve of that. And immediately or after a day, what Hardik Pandya had to do, he had to post a picture showing that he got married. So isn't this very sad, where a celebrity, or we are interfering in the private life of a celebrity and making him interfere, and making it compulsory that you should follow the norms of the society. So he had to post a picture. Then people were like, okay, now that you are married, the pregnancy is okay with us. This is one of the major important slides, or the important topics which you guys will be studying in media ethics and law as a subject. It is very well said in the media, if you have not done any kind of sting operations, are you even eligible to be called a journalist, or you will not be famous enough, because sting operations is a success and is a pathway to success. Even if you do a small sting operation, it is very well known to the Indian society and to the overall generation and to the overall world that sting operations do really work, and exposing some fascist people, or exposing the crimes or the corruption in the society, you need to do sting operations. However, there are debates where people actually question about whether sting operations are ethical or not. So here we have the first case study, which you guys, which you might not be studying, but we as media professionals studied. There was a news magazine or a portal by the name Tehelka, and it is the West End operation, or the West End case, which happened where a lot of politicians had to resign from the NDA government in 2001. Where what these people do, there were two foreigners who set up some kind of a fake company abroad, and sold and they started selling infrared cameras or some kind of defense deals with the Indian government with the help of money. They had spent around $15 million or not $15 million for the corruption, and they have also given some kind of prostitutes to the politicians at that time. And immediately people started acknowledging it, and people started following what is happening in the West End operations, and they were kind of interested in how loosened up our defense of India is. And this is what happened around 20 years ago, and this is what happened recently when people attacked JNU, and there was a major investigation, and there was a sting operation which happened with the help of India Today. And there was a ABVP activist who actually was seen in saying things in the video, and these things were exposed. And now people questions whether are these ethical, or these are just boastful lies. As you guys know, what all are the pillars of democracy. This is not in terms of any sequencing or in terms of any preference. There are 4 pillars of democracy. However, people say there are just 3 pillars. Media has become it has become itself a pillar of democracy. For example, people say judiciary, executive, and legislative. These are the main 3 pillars. However, if you'll go or research deep into the 4 pillars of democracy, you will easily find out. Earlier, people used to call lawyers a pillar of democracy. Then people started saying media as a pillar of democracy. Like each and every one of you know that legislative is interrelated to executive, and this is how executive is interrelated to judiciary. And people nowadays tell us that media is nowhere related to judiciary, and media does not influence what the judiciary has to say, or what judiciary has to impart in terms of justice. And here are the types of trials which you will be studying in your course. Might not be you might not be studying if you are a Game of Thrones fans. You must be knowing how the trials used to happen. The trial earlier used to happen with the help of combat. That was called trial by combat. This is another trial which used to happen earlier in ancient times, where people used to leave it to the gods, so that the god must prevent his or her death if the person is not guilty, and the god will come and save it and do a miracle. And people had to go through a lot of tough times, whether they had to walk on ice, whether they had to walk on fire, hot water were poured on them, or people were poisoned. And nowadays what we have a judiciary system where we have a free and a fair trial. And here I come on my topic, which is the fourth pillar, which is the media and its trial. I have deliberately used the Lady Justice and opened up her eye so that people can here understand that how media influences trials and how media influences not the judiciary statements or not the verdict, but the media might influence the judges. This is the first case which happened in the year 1984. I will just ask you one question. If you are living in Delhi, which is a very unsecure, not so secured place, and whether you get mobbed or whether you get robbed or mugged, you guys have. Wait a second. Yeah. If you are getting mugged, the question is, what will you do? And if you are mugged for the first time, and you will do something to not get mugged the other time. So this was the guy who was Bernhard Geddes, who shot 4 people while he was thinking he might get mugged. And this is what media did to him. This is a clear example where media is telling us that fears mugging, shoots 4 on the IRT. This is a fact. But here, when media has denoted this person as a vigilante, or they are kind of believing that this guy Bernhard Geddes is the Batman of New York, is kind of helping people not to get mugged. And after 30 years, people started equating him with the Joker, and saying that this was the first time when there were people that Bernhard Geddes was the first person who did not take any shit from that kind of people who rob you on the roads, who mugs you on the road. So this was the first media trial which happens, and the people started resonating with this guy, because a lot of people used to get mugged in the US, in the New York. And so what people started doing is, this guy was a bankrupt person, and what the general audience did, audience started collecting money for him so that he can fight a case. And although he shot 4 guys and leaving one of the 4 black guys paralyzed for the entire lifetime, and this guy did not get any jail term or did not pay anything, a single penny, even though he lost a case when a black person filed a case of $43 million. He declared bankruptcy and he did not even pay a single penny. So this was the first trial which happened with the help of media, and this guy just got 8 months jail because he was having a pistol with him which was unlicensed, and for which in the US the jail term is 1 year because of his good behavior, he was left in 8 months. And this case you might be resonating with, and all of you must be knowing what happened during the ARUSHI TALWAR case. What media started doing, media started telling us that this girl by the name ARUSHI TALWAR was a characterless girl, and she had relationship with her servant, and how these guys were into a relationship, and the mother and the father did not agree to this relationship, and they killed both of them. And even though there were less evidences or equal to no evidences for against these two people, that is the mother and the father, still these guys were convicted. I am not saying that there were no or zero evidences, or the judges must have fallen prey to the media trials, but this is how media asks us to build opinions. uh, whether the job of the media was just to tell us facts, how these people were killed, or how the double murdered these Arushi and Hemraj people were killed. They are telling us and unraveling the entire situation and doing the investigation and playing the role of a police or the investigators. And then here comes a very famous thing which is happening nowadays, that is the social media trials, which you and I fall prey of, and we do not know what to do and how these things are unveiled. So there's a meme which I found out, or there's a cartoon which is from a newspaper. The judge is asking the person or the jury, has the jury reached the verdict? But the jury is falling prey to the Facebook media or the Twitter media or the Instagram, and says Instagram says guilty, Facebook recounts not guilty, while Twitter declares a mistrial. There's a very famous case which happened in the year 2015. If you'll just Google it, you can see the Delhi Darinda case. There was a guy by the name SARVJEET Singh, and there was a girl by the name JASLEEN KAUR. They might have got into an argument on the road, on the red light, and the girl JASLEEN KAUR says that I will post a picture of you and defame you in front of the entire social media. And this is what the power of social media does. As soon as this girl JASLEEN KAUR picked up or posted a story about this guy, influencers started pouring in. Here it also, you can resonate it with the case study or the media theory which I told you. There's a media text which is this pic, and the person's status acted as a media text, and then there comes in the opinion leaders. The opinion leaders were Sonakshi Sinha, and there were a lot of celebrities which stood with the girl, and this guy was termed as Delhi Ka Darinda. However, this was a clear example of a social media trial. And when Sonakshi Sinha was asked about, and why have you taken a side of the girl, she clearly said, gave benefit of doubt to JASLEEN, apologies to the guy. And because of this case, this guy was not getting any jobs, was thrown out of his own company, and his character was actually defamed, and he has a black mark on his character right now. Even though people have started telling him that, okay, you were the right person, but he was the one who was the victim of the social media trials. And he had to make a video after like 4 or 5 years after this happened, by saying that I am not Delhi Ka Darinda. And this is the recent case of the social media trials which is happening right now. And I should advise you all not to be a part of all this. Whether you have the right to opinion or the right to express yourself, you should stay away from falling into the propaganda of the media. This is when SUSHANT Singh Rajput last Sunday committed suicide, and people started posting a lot of stuff and a lot of headlines you must have seen कि पटना का सुशांत मुंबई में फेल क्यों, and कि हरे रंग के फंदे से लटकाया अपने आप को, and काय पोछे की कैसे कट गई डोर. There were a lot of pathetic kind of headlines which were going on into the society or into the media, which influence a lot of people. So consider this as a media text. If this is a media text, then what happens? Then here comes an opinion leader who is spreading her own agenda or kind of defaming a lot of people because of the nepotism which is followed in the media industry or in the Bollywood. So rest aside, keeping the suicide of Sushant Singh Rajput aside, everyone is kind of following and resonating with how Sushant Singh Rajput died and because of what reasons he died. And even if you guys will be, if you must be having or going through depression, and you guys must be knowing that that money is not everything, or you or happiness is not everything. You guys must be actually happy to live your life. But what opinion leader Kangana Ranaut did, she diverted each and everything and surrounded itself to the entire propaganda or the entire agenda of Bollywood being nepotism is equal to nepotism. And there were a lot of people who were like कि सुशांत सिंह राजपूत को मरना चाहिए था because he did the role of love jihad in PK, and he was the one who removed Rajput from his name when he was promoting the movie Padmavat. And then there was a lot of backlash with the consumers have given Karan Johar and Alia Bhatt. And these guys lost a majority of the followers from Instagram and their Twitter handles. This is a clear example of how media unveils and how media sets up an opinion. So here is a media text where Sushant Singh Rajput committed a suicide. Here it is a role of the influencer which comes in, and here is a clear picture of how we as consumers are falling prey to the media, and how we are reacting to what the opinion leaders had to say. Then here we actually comes to the regulation part. I just tell you clearly that media in India is majorly self-regulated. And you guys all know what happens to media if what happens to you actually if you are asked to self-regulate yourself or self-discipline yourself. There will be no discipline. So what happens, this is the case of Udta Punjab, where Prahlad Nilhani, the chairman of CBFC, had stopped that he had said that 93 or 94 cuts before the release of the movie. Because of that, Anurag Kashyap went to the High Court, and what High Court had to say, you can see it clearly. CBFC is a certification board and not a censor board. What CBFC had to do, it is the role of CBFC to tell the audience that, or the certify the movie, that it is a A-graded movie or the UA graded movie or the U graded movie. Is it applicable for adults to watch the movie, or is it also a family kind of a movie? So they are just eligible to give them a certificate, but not censor some kind of cuts. And this is the kind of last slide of my entire presentation, which I would tell you the scope of legal journalism, which you guys must be interested in, and why you guys should take legal journalism as a career option, or you guys should take that course in the second year or the upcoming year. So first of all, there is no educational qualification required to be a journalist. So I am from IAMC, and I know a lot of people and who are not from IAMC or who are not from some kind of legal background, who have not done journalism in their graduation, and who are not even graduates. Those people are also a part of journalism, and those people are also called journalists. So clearly there is no educational qualification required for a journalist. And if you plan to become a journalist, you will be seen as an expert, because there are very less people who are lawyers or who are financial experts. For example, an MBA person never becomes, or even if he becomes a journalist, he falls into the category of a financial journalism. If you, being a lawyer, fall into somehow get into journalism, you will be seen as an expert, and you will be called a legal journalist. And what I would suggest, and what a lot of people do, I had a lot of friends who were lawyers in IAMC, and they were pursuing a course related to radio and television journalism, English journalism, or Hindi journalism. And they started doing it or pursuing journalism at a part-time career option. However, majority of the inclination was towards law, and solving or fighting the cases. But these guys also used to write some kind of blogs for just some kind of money they used to earn out of that, or maybe out of interest these guys used to do it. So you can definitely take this as a part-time career option. And I would just like to say that successful journalists are law graduates, and because law graduates have some kind of expertise, they see each and everything factually. They do not involve their own opinions into it, and these guys are very successful journalists. For example, you can say there's a very famous TV drama which goes by the. It is not a drama; it is a primetime show or the longest running show by the name Aapki Adalat, where Rajesh Sharma played the role of a lawyer, and you can clearly see it is very famous. And if you wanna see a lot of people who are law graduates but are journalists, the perfect example is Rajdeep Sardesai. So here are the cons of being a totally into legal journalism. The pay scale is very less for a journalist. Even if you get placed from your placement cell after graduating and being a lawyer, your pay scale would be far better than what a journalist is getting right now in the media industry. This can actually ease up your life or make it miserable at the same time. It actually depends on the cases. Like each and every one of us know, if you are into legal and if you are becoming a lawyer, you cannot have a work-life balance. So similar is the case. If you are being a journalist, it can actually ease your life so that you can have a diversion from the law, and you do not want to become a lawyer, or you do not want to fight any cases. So it can ease your life in that sense. But if you are doing it as a part-time, so being a lawyer might increase some kind of your tough times in your life. And the last thing which I hate to tell you guys, the lawyers are generally not good and lucid storytellers. As per my experience and as per me, lawyers do not really tell stories. Lawyers actually depend on facts, and they quote facts, they quote IPCs, and they tell people clearly that why a person is guilty and why a person is not guilty. But what expertise the media needs? Media needs good storytellers. So previously I was watching this case study where there was a famous lawyer who said, I am a very good storyteller, and I paint a story in front of a judge, and I connect the dots so that a judge can easily tell the person or easily pass a verdict that a person is guilty or not guilty. So this is my last slide, where I just want to end my presentation by saying journalism is printing what someone else does not want printed. Everything else is just public relations. Thank you so much.
Sir, could you answer some of the queries given in the chat section?
Wait a second, I am just, it is okay now. So I have a query. Could you share your opinion? Today, media has become a mafia. For example, Sudhir Chaudhary versus Jindal Group. What is the motive of the media law to protect the interest of the society? So this was a very previous case which happened where Sudhir Chaudhary was seen asking for a big bribe. So here, what I told you where I was presenting the slide on sting operations. So nowadays, when I was studying journalism, there was a Hindi journalism teacher who was saying कि पहले लोगों को बोलते थे कि ये पत्रकार है, अब कार पहले आ चुका है, पत्र बाद में आ चुका है. तो people want to buy a car, so that is why they do all these kind of sting operations, and because of which they want to be famous. And this actually questions the ethnicity or the ethical dilemma which people fall into. And because, in my opinion, it was really wrong for Sudhir Chaudhary, and because of which he had to go to jail as well. So the sting operation, it depends actually on what kind of situations you guys have. or the person is exposing or the journalist is exposing. For example, if you take the example of the West End operation, it was a success. But if you take the example of Sudhir Chaudhary versus the Jindal Group, it was clearly some kind of for the ulterior motives these people did. The second question: Indian media is waging a holy war, and media is falling units of democracy. Media can't speak the truth to power. This is just, I would just say, this is controlling of media, which happens if you will just go into the backgrounds and what kind of publications, what kind of news channels, and what kind of publications or the websites these people have made, or the investors these guys are. I am not saying there are some publications which are owned by BJP. There are some publications which are owned, or the news channels which are owned or the invested by Congress. So a holy war, in that sense, I agree to somewhat. But media has the power to speak the truth, and media has always spoken the truth. But from the past decade, I would say it is not doing a job which media should actually do, because it is fulfilling the motive of the people or the who are really the investors. Actually, I would just say, if someone is paying you, he particular person can stop paying you as well, and you can also lose your job. So because of that, people have to question or deal with their ethical knowledge or the ethical dilemma which these guys have. So it is kind of a very tough question to answer, because media is owned by a certain number of people, because of which media has to do what it has to do. What will be the best option to choose as an optional subject, a white collar crime or the media law in third semester? So a white collar crime so actually now it depends, because a lot of people have asked me this question earlier as well, whether to choose white collar crime or media law. Because white collar crime, if the crime becomes very big, media starts covering it, and if you have some kind of expertise in media, you can also help people to understand from the media perspective what white collar crime actually is. So as you said that you have seen our syllabus, media law, is it very vast? Let me just open your syllabus. So today I had to just give you a gist of what all these things have. So I would say this is a very vast, but the case studies which you guys have are outdated. This might get you a knowledge of a law, but surely it is an outdated syllabus. I would suggest you guys, if you wanna have some kind of knowledge of a media law, you should study it on your own. But just to pass exams, if you wanna do it, you can stick to this syllabus. But yeah, if you can just focus on the letters in bold, which is happening, and obviously I know because of the capability of the DU teachers, and the teachers might just tell you or make you go through the case studies, and so but these kind of syllabus, I guess it is perfectly well, but the case studies are outdated. And the next question, I guess I have answered many of the questions already. Yeah, any more questions if I have?
Thank you so much, sir, for the lecture and for the knowledge we could understand about regarding media law, its fourth pillar. And I'd like to also ask anyone if they have any other questions or queries, they can please ask. There is one more question, so if you could look into.
Yeah. There's a question by Hitesh Yadav. Can media work as an independent unit practically, or they always work upon the influencers? No. So what happens is media raises some questions, or media tell you guys to make an opinion. It used to happen very earlier stages, where people or the media used to work as independent units. But because of the investing thing which is happening right now, people are more into investing, and a lot of media conglomerates and a lot of politicians have started investing into the media. So that is why people have started the media has started getting some kind of influence. But earlier, if you see, media had the power, and it had raised a lot of questions on the government as well, and exposed a lot of corruption and exposed a lot of things. But nowadays it is happening and it is very sad because of what it is happening. It is basically the money matters kind of a thing. But yeah, I would definitely say media can actually work as an independent unit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'd like to thank team and Karun and Akhil Bharatiya Vakil Parishad for organizing this event.
Thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a very great spending time. You're in lockdown, and you guys can enjoy your life and be safe. And happy Sunday, happy weekending. Thank you so much.